Hello YouTube viewers and Gundam fans and Gunpla collectors. You've probably come into this video expecting just a generic review of this Gundam kit, but today I'm actually going to do something which I'm hoping will help people who are a bit on the fence about a recent Gunpla announcement. Now you can see from this is the Master Grade F91 Gundam Harrison Custom. The only difference between this and the F91 standard Seabuck Arno's version is the colours and this panel on the arm. Now, seeing as that is the only difference between them and not coming with the Rafflesia stand, I hope that maybe this might get people to want to buy this version over the Seabuck one and wait for later in the year, whenever we do eventually get the F91 version 2 that was announced on the new year. Now, basically, I've seen a lot of people questioning why are they announcing a version 2 of a model kit that already looks like it's good enough as it is. And that's exactly why I bought this. I thought, well, the one that they're releasing is your typical standard F91 Gundam from the F91 movie. Why should I get the masterpiece of that when I can instead get the masterpiece of the Harrison Custom? Exactly the same mobile suit, a little bit cheaper to get this kit than it is the standard one. Looks nice, easily customizable if I don't like it, and if it proves to be as good as everyone seems to think it is, maybe then I don't need to get the version 2. Well, after getting it, all I can say is I do have minor nitpicks, but there's a lot of them. Enough so that when I look at this and think now, a version 2 might not actually be a bad idea. See, many people have seen this and thought, well, it's got a complete endoskeleton. I mean, from the ground up, inside and out, this kit is what you would expect of modern day Gunpla. But no one really has put it together to really look at it and say, is it that good? Quite frankly, it comes off to me as early days. Like, this is a bit experimental for Bandai. It doesn't really come off as if this was everything they had wanted and more from the F91. Such as when you look at the Sazabi, the Master Grade Sazabi. Brilliant kit, but there was more to it that they wanted to do with it, and then when they released the Vercast, suddenly that was it, the absolute best you will get from it. And I feel like this is maybe the direction that they're going with the F91 version 2. This is a good Gunpla, but it's not as good as it can be. There are some things that can be improved, definitely, and that's really what I want to highlight in this video, not so much as a review. So just getting the easy bits out of the way. Weaponry, it has the bazooka, the beam bazooka, and it does look great, and you can take the ammo off, change it out. The adjustable handle, this is nothing special. The beam rifle, it is multiple piece, it's got the colours right, doesn't actually have any stickers, so there's a start. But there were some things to this with the original kit that could have been improved. You do have this adjustable handle, but really it's just a beam saber. Now when you get into the model kit itself, you begin to see some things that really could use a few touch-ups, and I'll highlight those as I go over it. Now you can see on mine, I've just done a little bit of painting on it, added some stickers to it, but for the most part, and I rarely ever do this in a Gunpla kit, but I'll just get in there and show. There's a little Harrison in there in his nicely painted cockpit, and you can just see the red coming up from where I've painted the escape hatch as well, the escape pod. I just wanted to do that because if I'm going to have it, I may as well enjoy it. So getting straight off into the kit itself. Shield pod for the beam shield, and this is too short because it's very hard to post this kit with the beam shield on, and it's very hard to get the beam shield on and off as well. So I'm not going to put this on. beam sabers are stored in these recharge racks down here. And now you're going to see something which I think is one of Bandai's moves to improve this. When you see the F91 take its beam saber out, it does take it out of this recharge rack, yes, but there's also a whole skeletal system beneath it. This is hollow right through to the leg. And I think maybe things like this might be influencing their decision to make a version 2. And it's the same on the other side. That even behind that pod, it's just hanging there, but it's still hollow in there. Same again. Now down in here, that these are all one piece, and there is no room for connecting any yellow thrusters on little details like this that I think they want to do in different colours, just to spruce things up a bit with this kit. And when you get down into the chest, these bits of armour here, I think they're going to do something to bring this all the way down here as one piece, because this pings back and separates very easily. You can just see it there separating. And just push that back in. And you begin to think, all these, you might be saying, they're all just tiny nitpicks, they're not really big things, but they're everywhere. There's not one part of this kit that I can go over and say, oh, this is fine, I like this the way it is. So, covering those, it is still fantastic, but it's not perfect. Whoops. The arms are connected by an old joint, which we've seen many times before, where you do have this double joint and then you have a rotation joint down here. And many people say, oh, that's just so that it doesn't have to have a biceps. Well, it does. Right here, up at the shoulder. So it's got this joint and then this joint, which makes it look like a bad Photoshop when you have its arm out like this, which is purposeless, because with this you can still get that same pose. No idea why they implemented that. Another thing is the separation of armor here. That's a problem. That does not tab in, it just sits there. And it separates all the way down to here. Now, one thing you will find with this kit, if you own it, or if you're thinking of buying one, no polycaps whatsoever. Now, you might think, oh, that's a good thing. That means they have bypassed them. There's no need to have anything like that. We've seen that with the Sinanju, and that was brilliant, but the Sinanju was made of polyester, sorry. And, well, that's a softer plastic. It behaves in the same manner that a polycap would, so it doesn't wear down, and it allows frictionless movement. This does not have frictionless movement, it is all ABS. And it is very rough on posability. You can see here as well, this piece on the knee just is a cover on the back here. We'll get in close so you can see it. That just slides. And it actually separates this armor up here, moving it. Now, you do actually have a double jointed knee, and that is not the limit of its articulation. If you actually bring this up, you can get just a lot more movement to it, but that piece, they need to fix that. Now, one thing I do think they're going to do is implement a system that will allow all these fins and the likes of these ones back here to move in sync instead of having to lift them one by one, because it is very hard to keep them in order once you get them all popped out. You have to realign them, and they don't exactly sit flush with each other like they do in the movie. So really just looking over this, as great as it is, and with the articulation and weaponry, everything coming together nicely, it does look the part, but it just doesn't feel like it was completed in this design stage. It just feels like it was rushed out. Like Bandai just thought, right, that's it. We've designed an F91. It has a frame. It has all the weapons. That's it. Get it out into production. And I feel like maybe the design team have looked over it years later and thought we could have done much better than this. And I feel like that's where they're coming from. So if you want to see this for yourself, my recommendation is buy the Harrison kit. At least then when you buy the version 2 as well, if you do, you will have both versions of the Gundam. And it'll make it that much easier to get a comparison side by side of the version 2 and version 1. Now this is all taken into account if they change everything that I've just mentioned here on the version 2, which I hope they do, because otherwise I can't see a need to do it. I mean, it's still a fantastic kit, it still works really well, it still looks fantastic, and it is quite poseable. But, you know, when a Gundam kit can't even look up, especially one designed for space flight and combat, well, maybe it's time to go back to the drawing board, which is exactly what they've done. So I'm hoping that they'll come back to us with something miles beyond what this kit is. Now, that's not to say it's a bad one, that's not to say this is unworthy of being in someone's collection, far from it. It is still miles above other kits behind it, but compared to now, it really does need to be focused on design wise. It really does need them to sit down with this and say, what about this can we improve? And that's why I'm hopeful with the version 2, because Bandai have never really let us down with a version 2 before. The step up from the Mark II version 1 to the version 2 is still one of the greatest leaps in gunpla design I've seen. Never mind the RX-78. I mean, the version 2 RX-78, bit cartoony for my liking. The version 3 wasn't really a step up, it was just a recreation of the statue using the version 2 frame. But going from the Mark II's original bulky, chunky, hard to pose kit to the version 2, which was the most articulate kit I've ever owned, you really get an idea of the kind of leaps and bounds they can do whenever they sit down to redesign these. So hopefully that's what we'll see. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this has helped you get an insight into why maybe they're taking another look at the F91. And well, we'll see where we go from here in a couple of months' time. So thanks for watching, link below to the blog, and see you at the next video.